Welcome to The Last Romantic. I am your host, the Fat Mantis, as we review episode 5 of Wandavision and as well discuss the Nightmare Theory. Now, I know we took mainly title of this episode is about Nightmare, but we're going to save him for the end. First, we got to do a lightning review. And I'm going to say that Marvel brought us another spine-tingling, action-packed episode that is able to drive the story forward, evolve its narrative structure, and give great performances for both Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany. Even the side characters did a good job in this episode. For instance, there's a small part with the character Norm in the office, and he did a great job for such a small bit role. It was amazing. It created all sorts of theories, and this is possibly an almost perfect episode of a television show. It gave you everything I could, including that mic drop final scene. Right? I liked everything, including the opening credits, which was an amazing homage to the Family Ties opening sequence. It was done excellently. I particularly liked watching Vision grow up. These fake images of him as a baby growing up, having a normal human existence. It's almost like it was a parody of what human existence is like, because I don't think anyone has baby pictures like that. But ultimately, I really liked it. Now, in this episode, this is where Vision starts to realizing that something is going wrong, and he starts to turn on his wife as he confronts her. Meanwhile, Wanda is finding that the one thing in this reality she can't control are her own children. Now let's get into some theories. First, I'm going to start off with the Monica Rambeau theory. And there's a few weird things going on. The first one was that the x-rays had no effect on her. Doctors gave her x-rays and they showed nothing. Almost like she didn't have bones, right? Later on in the episode, when Captain Marvel's name was mentioned, it would appear that she has great negative feelings toward her. By the way, she changed the subject and she had a look in her eye, almost enraged, if you will. And so here are my theories. I think it is possible that she already has her comic book powers, just doesn't know it yet, as her comic book powers are to control all bands of the electromagnetic spectrum of light. That includes x-rays. It's possible that she is already exhibiting superhuman abilities. Now, to tie this in with the Captain Marvel cringe moment, I believe that it is possible that she already off camera gained such superhuman abilities, and it could have happened on the same mission that gave her very mother cancer. It is possible that whatever weird stuff her mother was working with at S.W.O.R.D. had to do with outer space and possibly Captain Marvel, and that's where she got her cancer. But it is possible that Monica was exposed to something weird and also will be showing powers. However, we don't know enough, and not enough pieces are on the board for us to assess well, but that is a possibility. And does this also mean we're going to have a future flashback episode again where it shows us that very mission? And will Captain Marvel be having a cameo? That would be dope. Moving on, we've got the director of S.W.O.R.D. Now, he unfortunately devolves into one of those cliche officers that's incompetent and he's going to get everybody killed. And his underling, his subordinate, is the one who knows how to free everyone and save the day. But he's too stupid to listen to her. Which means he probably has a date with a body bag. That's right, he's probably going to die. He probably will not survive the series. However, the question of who will be director is up for grabs. Now, of course, we're all thinking it should be Monica, as she was passed up for that promotion while she was blipped away. I'm suggesting something else. I believe a villainous character, similar to Norman Osborn from the comics, will take that job. It is possible that at the end of this, it'll be either Norman Osborn, but if they don't want to do that crossover with Sony, it is possible that General Ross Thunderbolt will be taking it, and it will pave the way for a future Dark Avengers storyline, as we've seen in the comics. Just as the S.H.I.E.L.D. directors being evil caused that in the comics, the S.W.O.R.D. director would do it here. Now, the dog conspiracy theory. Now, the boys find the dog, Sparky, whimpering at their door side. That's strange. Why would a dog come over to their house? They befriend the dog and try to adopt him. However, in order to set the rules where they can own the dog, they have to age themselves up. Later on, Agnes finds the dead dog, and once again, the boys, to avoid negative emotions, want to age themselves up. My theory is that it is Agnes that not only brought the dog, but killed the dog. Her purpose in this episode seems to be making the boys age up. After all, their first age up moment was when she sprayed the lavender all over them, if it really was lavender. And so it would seem that she wanted the boys to get age up one level and then later on killed them so they would try to avoid that emotional thing. But thank God Wanda, being a good mother, prevented them from being too shielded from the world and feel that emotion. It's fascinating that she wants her boys to feel emotions, including negative ones, when she herself has been doing nothing but run from said negative emotions. It's fascinating. It's fascinating how a parent doesn't want their kid to do the same mistakes they have, and it's actually beautiful to watch. Now, I want to get to the confrontation between Wanda and Sword. This actually mimics something we've already seen in superhero cinema, but not in the MCU. Now, she goes out there at night and confronts them, totally unscared, has no fear of Sword whatsoever, or the fact that she has an entire army placing weapons on her. Right? She's able to speak her piece. She's angry, righteous about it. With a wave of her hand, she's able to telekinetically make them all aim their weapons at their boss instead. It was beautiful. A great villain moment. And she's clad all in red, and she walks away casually, right? This actually mirrors something her father did. Not in the MCU, but in the Fox movies. Now, rewind back to 2000, and that is X-Men, the movie #1. That's right, the original of those ones. So Ian McKellen, who plays Magneto, is confronted by the police, and they're all aiming weapons at him. And first he speaks his mind, and then with a wave of his hands, he makes their weapons turn on them, basically saying, "Humans, I do not fear you even in the slightest." She was basically channeling her father Magneto, and could this be a hint that the cameo in the final episode is going to be Magneto? There's a lot of speculation as who could it be. It could be all sorts of people. I am hoping that it is Magneto at the end of the day. Now, finally, we've got to get to our nightmare theory. The mic drop moment where the door opens up and the crazy uncle that is introduced in the middle of every sitcom run to add a new character appears. They're usually just went through a divorce, or they lost their job, or they're changing something about their lives. A lot of times they ride motorcycles or live in vans in the backyard. They're always weird and more fun than the parents, and they're always undateable, but really have a heart of gold. So this is who Evan Peters is playing, and I think we all love that Evan Peters is the Quicksilver. Let's face it, he's more fun than Aaron Taylor Johnson, right, who actually played him in Age of Ultron. Very funny when Darcy said, "Oh, he's been recast." Now, everyone on internet has crazy theories about how this is happening, and so here we're going to go over them. The first one is Wanda can't bring people back from the dead, and apparently the powers that control the place can't do that either. However, they wanted to give her a brother so she can be happy. They can't bring this version of Quicksilver back, so instead they steal a version of the Quicksilver from another dimension, present him to her, and control his mind as they control everybody else's. That's theory number one. It keeps him Quicksilver, and possibly Quicksilver for future installments. I'm loving it. Number two is he is actually secretly Mephisto. Now, this is a possibility. It's the most common theory going on, and therefore the most boring, so I'm going to give it no time or energy. And the third one is that he is none other than the villain Nightmare. Now, not only would Evan Peters look good dressed as a ripoff of Robert Smith from The Cure, which is basically who the villain Nightmare is, he also is great playing serial killers and other demonic characters from American Horror Story fame. But there's another thing. There are a few other things we need to factor in, and one of them is how Marvel likes to create amalgamated characters. Now, rewind back to Iron Man 2. In Iron Man 2, we had the villain Whiplash. However, he wasn't Whiplash. He was an amalgamation between the comic book Whiplash and the comic book villain, the Crimson Dynamo. He was both and neither at the same time. They just melded them into one character. Then go to Thor Ragnarok, and we have Hela, who was actually a mixture between the characters Hela, Angela, who was the real sister of Thor and Loki in the comics, and the Enchantress. She had characteristics of all of them, making her one mega archetypal evil villainess. And it was an amazing thing to watch. My suggestion to you is not only could it be Nightmare, the ruler of the Nightmare dimension, but he is an amalgamation of Mephisto and Nightmare, having characteristics of both. It is possible that they don't want to go full devil on this one, and the reason why they might not want to go full Nightmare as well is Nightmare does have a tendency to create children with women who age up super quickly. This has actually happened in the comics. Fortunately, he does it in a really vile, disgusting way that might trigger some viewers. But what I'm saying is they might want to dodge that storyline altogether. But the truth is he has a history of artificially creating children, magical children, in the comic books. Mephisto has the connection to the twins in them, and I have a feeling that he might be a mix of all of them together, and I'd be fine with this. The storytelling and the changes, the adaptations are doing wonderful in WandaVision. So I think it is possible that Nightmare is indeed the villain here, and it is possible that Evan Peters is him, or he is pulling the strings. After all, what is WandaVision other than Wanda's beautiful dream turning into a nightmare? Do you have any theories about what villain it is? Am I overlooking something? Is the nightmare theory total nonsense? And what do you think of a possible Captain Marvel cameo? Please let me know down in the comments. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Keep tuning in to Voice of the Fat Mantis for more reviews, analysis, and shenanigans. Until next time, ciao for now.